Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and you are watching a new episode on the Wojennik TV YouTube channel. Today I would like to invite you to look at an unboxing video of one of the games that I have recently received, one of the games which I really wanted to try. It will be a game about the Civil War, so another Civil War game on our channel, but this game is quite special because it will present battles both from 1862 and 1864. Battles fought in a very important place, the Shenandoah Valley. The game is called Death Valley, the Battles of Shenandoah. So the game, published in 2019 by GMT Games, will cover a very important topic in the American Civil War history. The game is part of a bigger series because it's the 7th installment of the Great Battles of the American Civil War series. The series which originated back in the 1970s, by the terrible swift sword designed by Richard Berg. And Richard Berg is one of the two designers mentioned on the box cover of this game. The second designer is Greg Laubach. So it is a game also attributed to the recently deceased Richard H. Berg. It's a good moment to say thank you to Mr. Berg for all the great games that he has produced during all those years. Big thank you. Now, the game is meant to be played by 2 players, but it is also highly solitaire suitable because in the 9-degree GMT Games scale it is rated a 7. The game will cover 8 battles fought in the Shenandoah Valley in 1862 and then in 1864. This is the reason why in the box of this game we will find not less than 8 game maps, 4 double-sided maps, and a huge amount of counters. 1960 counters. Yes, almost 2000 counters in this box. Today I would like to show you how those counters and all the other elements look like. So let's take a look at the box and let's take a look inside. Here is the big box of Death Valley Battles for the Shenandoah. As you can see, a very climatic box cover representing a battle between the Confederate and the Union forces. At the back of the box we can see how one of the game maps will look like, the description where we can read about all the battles enclosed in this box, a look at the counters, then also a look at the game contents, so a list of what is enclosed inside, a brief look at all the previous games published in the GBA CW series, a game meter. As you can see, the complexity of this game is 7, the solitaire suitability is at the same level, so it's a game highly suitable for solitaire play. The time of play, each game tour will be about 1 hour of real time. We also have the information that 145 yards per hex is the scale used in this game. Let's now open the box and let's take a look at all the components which will be used while playing Death Valley. So here it is. Now let's open the box. At first we receive a series rulebook because this game is part of a bigger series, and this rulebook is, as you can see, more than 40 pages long, with a table of contents at the front of this booklet. So we have an introduction, the components and terminology, the sequence of play, etc, etc. A lot of rules. Let's take a look at the interior. Now, as you can see, a rule book prepared on a high quality paper, a colored rule book, which is always a good information because I hate black and white rule books. It's difficult to read them. It's difficult also to find important information than browsing through the rules. As you can see, some examples, but a lot of text, so a lot of reading for persons which have not played any games of this series up until now. The second book is a list of the battles, the battle book which will be used. So here we have also an introduction and then the description of all the battles which are present in this game, but which take place in 1862, because as you can see we receive also a second booklet concerning battles of 1864. So additional rules, fire combat, combat results, special units, and then also information about different battles and the scenarios. For instance, Winchester, May 25, 1862, etc., etc. The second booklet will be pretty much the same, but it's longer because we have a higher quantity of battles. 42 pages long, a lot of reading, also a very interesting, a very nicely done map, which will show you how the different battles in the Shenandoah looked like when they took place, what forces they opposed. A lot of additional scenarios with setup, with additional rules, a lot of reading, but as you can expect, only part of this will be used during each battle. Then a fantastic addition, a counter tray, which will be used to store all the counters. That's something really fantastic when it comes to this game, because normally GMT games didn't have this addition. Now Death Valley is a game with counter trays, and thanks to it, first of all, we will be able to store everything. Secondly, the game box was already designed in such a way to store those counter trays, so there will be no problem in putting them inside. With many other games, the problem was that even if we decided to use counter trays, then the box was not sufficiently big to support them. Here it won't be the problem. Great step forward. 2 dice, 1 gray, 1 blue. Yes, as you might expect, the gray one will be used by the secessionist player, the blue one by the Union player. And then we receive battle maps. A lot of them, because I believe all battles will take place on a different map. Here is the Battle of Cedar Creek, October 19, 1864. Let's take a look at it. A big map depicting the location where the Battle of Cedar Creek took place. As you can see, the map is being divided into hexes. Each hex has its own number. As you can see, some rivers floating, some roads, some orchards or maybe woods, etc. So it's a very pretty game map, especially thanks to the colors used. I like it a lot. The second side is this time the map depicting the place where the third Battle of Winchester took place. As you can see, a different location, different types of terrain. Each of them will be very interesting. That's only the first one, because in the box we have several others. Here we have, for instance, the map used for the Battle of Cedar Creek, October 1864. The southern map, because the previous one was, I believe, the northern map. So the map of a same standard with Winchester presented on the western side of this map with some woods, etc. On the second side we have the map which will be used also. Oh yes, that was the Winchester map, and here is the Cedar Creek map. The Battle of Fisher's Hill, so an additional map, also a double-sided map, then a smaller map, as I believe, from the first Battle of Winchester. Let's take a look at it. And yes, as you can see, this battle is much smaller, the map is much smaller, with a part of Winchester with the same forest that we have seen a little bit earlier. So some terrain types, so some parts of different maps will be the same on different maps, but as you can see, the limits of gameplay will be different each time. On the second side, we have the terrain of the Battle of Pot Republic from 1862, a very different map with the South Fork of the Shenandoah River. Is it all? Absolutely not. We receive one more map, which will be used to play the Battle of Cross Keys of June 1862. And here we have also an additional map used for the Battle of Newmarket. So a lot of maps, because the Shenandoah Valley was a place where a lot of fighting took place during the Civil War. Then we have the playing pieces. As you can see, one artillery decided to immediately go into battle. Let's take a look at the first counter sheet. It's the first of 7, so as you can see, a huge quantity of counters, but they are of a very high quality. Well centered, nicely done with a lot of colors, and as you might have seen, the counters will be very easily taken from the counter sheet and without any problems on the edges. So I wonder if I will be clipping them, maybe not. So as you can see, some infantry, some cavalry, artillery units, a lot of them, and during each battle we will be needing different counters, so the counter trays will be very useful to store the different types of units and counters. Some status counters, fatigue, OK, level 1, level 3, some additional counters which will be used to track time, to track the period of the day, additional units. Of course, the counters are double-sided. The third counter sheet with additional units, some infantry, some officers. Here we have Jubal Early, we have Lee Gordon, and Crook, Talbot, Wright, Sheridan on the Union side. Again, one of the counters decided to quit, decided to go fighting on his own. Here it is. It's an infantry unit, 22 VA, and once again, as you can see, the counters are really greatly done, so they will be very easily taken from the counter sheets. That's a very nice thing, a very good information, because in some older games it's sometimes very difficult to take the counters from the sheet. Then we have also to clip them or use over tools in order to remove some elements which are on the corners of the counters. Here it will not be the case. Additional units, here we have some more cavalry units which will be used in some of the scenarios. So 7 counter sheets. Here is the 6th one with some additional status counters or additional markers, extended open orders, refused left, etc. A huge counter sheet with some numbers. I do not know at the moment how they will be used and what is the purpose. Here we have also a possibility to construct some field works, as I believe. And again, some counters which decided to leave the counter sheet immediately. It's not all, because we also receive a turn track here for the first battle of Winchester, as I believe here we will receive an additional track, this time for the second Kernstown, the Battle of First Winchester, the second Kernstown, because each side will, as I believe, receive his own playing mat and additional mats used for different battles. New market, first Kernstown, first Kernstown, terrain effects chart, one for each player, and information also about the disorder table, a player aid card, two of them in fact, used to track some crucial information, used also to verify rally rolls, to verify coordination, and of course to resolve fire during gameplay, small arms attacks, field artillery attacks, a lot of information which will require dice rolls. And that's it when it comes to all the components enclosed in this very big box with Death Valley. Let's pass on to a short conclusion. Opening new GMT games titles is a thing that I always loved to do. And Death Valley is not an exception. I was very eager to try this game. I was very eager to verify how the content of this huge box looked like, and I must say I am totally thrilled because the components enclosed in this box are just terrific. The artwork on the maps is fantastic. I really like the colors. I like the fact that those maps seem to be very functional and that the different terrain types are very distinctive one from another. I love the counters, especially the fact that they are laser cut, so we won't be having the problem with many wargames where it is difficult to separate the counters from the counter sheets. They will be just perfect and it will be very pleasant to use them. What I especially appreciate are the counter trays, something that is a great step forward. Sometimes, as I said earlier, we used counter trays to store games in which we have a lot of counters, and remember, here we have 1960 counters, so a huge amount. And in those games it was sometimes difficult then to put the counter trays inside the box because it was too small. Here the counter trays are already here and it will be very pleasant, it will be very functional, it will be just a great thing to put those counter trays inside and to have an order in your box. I really appreciate it. Thank you GMT Games, chapeau bas. I really like the 3 rule books, or rather the series rule book, and then the 2 scenario books with the specific rules governing scenarios in 1862 and 1864. So nothing stops me now from reading those rule books, and I will definitely try this game in the weeks to come. I will also present this game during a future review, but I believe that while this game is such pretty and has such a great content, it will take some time to prepare it. 8 battles included, a lot of rules, a lot of counters. I will definitely want to try this game, to play it a lot in order to prepare a review. Until then, I hope you will visit our YouTube channel and you can verify our other materials. We have our reviews, our unboxings. You can also check our geek list on Board Game Geek. We have our dedicated geek list. Until then, so I wish you a great day, a great week, and see you next time.